So I had the audacity to ask my Facebook friends the following question about a month ago. I asked them, in your mind, what are the biggest obstacles preventing you from purchasing a house? And it was kind of a setup. I knew what kind of answers I'd get, but I was really excited because for once on social media, people were really honest with me and not trying to guard my feelings because they know I'm a realtor. I got some really valuable feedback about the real things and the real issues that come up for people when they're thinking about a very serious life investment like, oh my gosh, what would it mean to buy a house? So what I wanted to do in a series of videos, including this one, is kind of go down the list and talk about the things that came up. What was the number one thing that I saw in my timeline when I asked that question? I saw people over and over saying, I'm a little bit worried. I am actually concerned that if I invest that amount of money in something, it's gonna crash. The value is gonna go from here to here, and I'm gonna find myself in crisis. And you know what? That's an awesome concern to have. That is a real human emotion and a reaction to that big of an investment and what it would mean to you if things did not work out. So instead of dealing with emotion, I wanna try to do something that I know I would enjoy, and that's breaking it down from a data perspective and a historical perspective. So with that, cut to the first graph. Here are home values in the United States of America during the last 60 years. And you can get the gist of it by just looking at the chart. You see mostly a slow, continuous, gradual rise in home values. A little bit of a leveling off in the 80s, same thing in the 90s. And then many of us are old enough to remember 2008, where things actually, were difficult for people for a period of time. We saw about a 10 to 20% loss in value in home values during that 5-year span. And again, by 2013, those have recovered and nothing but smooth sailing since until, recently, the last year or two, when interest rates have gone up and created a bit of more of a leveling off more recently. So bigger picture, if you just kind of take 10 steps back and look at this graph, what you see nothing but a very boring, predictable, steady rise in home values over time, meaning that while you can't predict the future, you do know that more than likely that type of thing is going to be a part of people's lives and always going to be in demand, and at least, going to be on the upward ascension slowly, surely, gradually, year by year by year. Another graph. This is a little more sophisticated, but basically kind of shows the same exact thing. And this is how home values have performed relative to inflation. So how has the value of a person's house actually gone up relative to the value of the dollar? And again, you can see positive indications. You can see that, believe it or not, houses have outperformed inflation over time and done a little better than the inflating dollar. So you know that yet again, there are lots and lots of historical precedents to say this is pretty safe. Now, of course, it would be disingenuous, it would be a lie to say, I know what the future holds. But you can at least kind of calm yourself down a little bit by looking at these statistics and saying to yourself, okay, if it's always kind of been like this, it's reasonable to expect that it might remain similar. And so these ideas that, oh my gosh, the market is going to crash, or things are just going to go to hell and it's going to be awful and I'm going to lose my investment and put my life at jeopardy and all these things. It's not to say that it could not happen, but there's nothing from a statistical standpoint that indicates to any of us that that's likely to happen. And if that makes you just feel a little tiny bit better, then great. That's the goal, is to educate here, is to have these conversations where you understand what's real versus what's a little more just sensationalist. So I hope that helped. We're going to do more of these. We're going to go down the list and talk about all the things that scare buyers. And if you want to have these conversations with me personally, I would love to have them. Let's go to lunch. Let's have some coffee. Let's get on the phone and sort it all through, because that's ultimately what I'm here to do, and that's here to help. Cassidy at 360dwellings.com or cell text 720-933-2591. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.